Prosperity is a herbal remedy that has been naturally designed to nourish the prostate gland. Prosperity uses a combination of leaves, roots, and barks to create a tincture designed to nourish your prostate gland. It also will assist in prostate-related issues such as erectile dysfunction, swollen prostates, and problems related to the passage of urine. Call or WhatsApp 728-8289, 728-8289 and get your bottle today. Prosperity. Do you want an accurate natal chart reading to know the true position of the sun, the moon, and each planet at the moment that you were being born? We at the Priest Isaac's Institute of Holistic Knowledge will create a precise natal chart for you and your loved ones, coupled with snapshot pictures of each planet, the sun, the moon, plus the constellations related to them. In addition to this, we will be giving you a detailed report of the alignment of planets to the constellations and its full meaning, not from an astrological perspective, but from an ancient astronomical perspective. You will have this report for the rest of your life and can share it with your friends and your family. To order your accurate natal chart today, visit our website, priestisaacinstitute.com, or email us, priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com. Blessed.
While churches rose to the sky in Europe, in 12th century Africa, they were being carved out of the ground. These Christian pilgrims in Ethiopia are on their way to worship at one of them. In these highlands, in the 12th century, Lalibela, a new king from a new dynasty, built a new holy capital. Today, Lalibela's legacy lives on in the physical splendor of the churches and the traditions of their guardian priests.
My blessed people and congregation, churches with no mud, no wood, and no cement. You cannot find anything like this in the rest of the world. You are all blessed because you are here. This place was built by God.
Every year on St. George's Day, pilgrims gather to celebrate a faith that has endured here for 15 centuries. These Christians claimed that God brought the Ark of the Covenant and the tablets of the Ten Commandments to their land. On holy days today, priests carry on their heads replicas of the tablets, wrapped in gilded cloth. The people of Ethiopia have been carving churches out of mountains for more than 1,000 years. But the 7 churches of Lalibela symbolize their achievement to the outside world. Has become a legend, his story told by monks even today.
There was a city called Roha, where lived a man who belonged to one of the most noble of families, one of the richest in gold, silver, garments, precious stones, servants and maids. He had a child who became the mysteriously named Lalibela.
In the legend, the king's greatness was recognized at birth. A swarm of bees descended on his cot as if around honey.
His mother named him Lalibela, which means the bee has recognized him as king. But these were not bodily bees, but angels who took bee form in order to announce his reign.
God sent one of his angels to bring Lalibela to heaven, to show him the most holy of churches. Lalibela, the story goes, ordered tools to be made to carve temples like those he'd seen in heaven. His craftsmen turned the wild mountainside into a new Jerusalem.
And of course, at this moment, we definitely give thanks for your presence with us. And of course, you know, we glorify Negus and Agas and give thanks to the life giver and the keeper of life all the way through. Yes, my royal family, what a joy once again to definitely behold each and every one. This is the Tiger's Nest radio program. As I said, we are exalting the Father and the Mother of creation, power and might of the Holy Trinity. Family, this is a radio program that comes to you every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at this time. And of course, this evening, this program will also be premiering on Radio Anu TV. That is telling you truth, through the vision. That's on the YouTube. So after you listen to it here, you can check over the YouTube. It should be on the YouTube as a premiere, though, with some visuals added to it. Hey, family, you know, we're celebrating Maskell, you know, the commemoration of the finding of the true cross of Christ. Maskell, the 27th day of September. The 27th day of September. Now, I know that there was a shift in the whole aspect of the year. When I say shift in the year, in the sense of, you know, the 11th of September is the Ethiopian New Year. We all say that and know that. But those who pay keen attention to the cycle would understand that this year, it was the 12th of September. That was the new year because it was a leap year. So I am telling you straight off, I don't know if that also affects all the other celebrations. For example, the 27th of September is Maskell, you know, but still technically where I am now, this is the evening of the 27th. And I know in Ethiopia, they already gone into the 28th. So whatever the case is, I don't think I have missed the beat. We are definitely celebrating Maskell. For those who do not know what Maskell is all about, it is the commemoration of the finding of the true cross of Christ. In fact, Maskell itself means the cross, and it's actually called the feast, the grand feast of Maskell, the grand feast of the commemoration of the finding of the true cross of Christ. So what I would like to do this evening is to just go through the science of this. You know, I don't want to spend no long time lamenting on it. You know, I just wanted to hit the facts as quick as we can, so at least we could get the juice from it and leave here this evening with an overstanding. Those of you on Radio Anu, you don't have to leave nowhere. You just stay on Radio Anu, the international flavor, the universal spice. Yeah, and those who will be watching this on Radio Anu TV, the link for Radio Anu, the radio itself, is in the description below the video. So all you got to do is go below the video in the description. You see Radio Anu, you see Priest Isaac Institute of Holistic Knowledge. Just press it. And it carries you exactly where you want to go. As I said, it's going to be an interesting reasoning because, you know, the cross, the finding of the true cross of Christ. I'm sure most of you who would have already adapted to a conscious outlook, a conscious lifestyle, the cross may have been, if not a deterrent to your thought pattern, but at least a complication. So in other words, the cross is a symbol that would have been related or associated, I should say, to Christianity. The cross is the symbol of the crucifix. This is where the Messiah of the Christian tradition was hung on, the cross, according to the story. Let me repeat, according to the story, the Christ figure who was born from a Virgin Mary. And another part of the story, he was crucified. He was nailed to a cross. Now, this is how most of us, are you listening, my loved ones? This is how most of us come across the cross. I like that. This is how most of us, you know, were introduced to this cross. Now, the cross could have a much more deeper meaning than that, you know, or meanings than that. Different perspectives to the cross, which it does, for sure. It's way beyond somebody being hung on the cross. But that's how we were introduced to the cross. So because of that, many times, especially amongst the conscious fraternity, when you hear about the cross, many ones get offended quickly, like, no, because they see the cross maybe as a symbol of death, a symbol of oppression, which obviously it would have been used for that. That's what Constantine said he saw when he became a Christian, a cross with a snake wrapped around it. And the voice he heard told him to go and conquer, not to go and make people good Christians, you know, to go and conquer the cross. So this cross thing is a serious thing. Ones would have taken the cross off of their necks because they don't want to have no association with this Christendom symbol of death and the crucifix itself. But of course, when you take your time and you study, you realize that this cross thing is different and deeper than what they are showing to us. Now, just a moment ago, we began the program with, you know, that rendition of Lalibela. Every now and again, at least once a strong, we would use that as an introduction, Lalibela. And I think we all comprehend Lalibela, the Christ figure himself, born the 7th of January, you know. Lalibela, the great Ethiopian emperor, would have formed several mighty churches that we know about from the solid rock of the Roha Mountains, Lasta, and would have created what we refer to today as the city of Lalibela. And of course, the most outstanding, or more outstanding to be grammatically correct, that's what the old English teacher would say. It's not the most, it's the more. But anyway, the more outstanding of the churches would be, of course, the church or the temple, Bete Kedos Gerogis, which is the church or the temple or the house of St. George. Some say Beta Georgis Gerogis, the house of St. George. And it is carved out beautifully, obviously, in the shape of the cross. I hear some people talk about Greek cross. Is that so? Listen, the Greek cross, as they call it, is the cross that they would have created from the Ankh. I mean, Brother Baba Heru, and I think I've somewhat gone into the depths of the program even before it's time, but everything happens at the right time. Brother Baba Heru would have answered our question so marvelously when we asked him, was the cross an original symbol? Because we see the cross in science, which we're going to show you tonight, because we see the cross in ancient architecture, which we're going to show you tonight, but yet still we see something similar to the cross, which is the Ankh. Is it through ignorance and trying to find our identity and try to dash away that which we think is harmful to us, that we jump up quickly and say, oh, the cross was taken from the Ankh, and that may not be true? And he clearly said, no, well, you know, there is a cross that was not taken from the Ankh. And then there is a cross that was taken from the Ankh. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And that cross that many ones carry around their neck with the long bottom stick. Yeah. That is the crucifix that was stolen from the Ankh. But prior to that, the natural symbol of what is called, again, the cross exists. Because there's no, I don't think Europe has no cross. Now, even the same long tail cross, you know, that still can be seen in nature as well. So I want to go into the depths of this now, so we can not necessarily validate the cross, but just to bring a better awareness to the students, to the scholars, those who really want to learn. We ain't here to entertain nobody that is following us just to argue and to debate. We are dealing with people who want the sincere truth. So when you go out on the road and people say cross, you dealing with cross, you can at least explain what you're talking about. Me personally, I mean, I don't wear no cross. Cross is not a thing. I have my Ethiopian cross right here. Oh, beautiful. Wonderful. It's a beautiful wooden cross. Straight from Lalibela itself. Straight from Lalibela. I have my wooden cross. It was given to me by our good brother Israel, Dubtronics himself. Give thanks, Israel Dyer. Big up Israel Dyer anytime you see him for me, man. Yes, all due respect to the good brother. So, look at the beautiful churches in Lalibela, or the church that is carved in the sign of the cross. Anciency, connecting itself even to the heavens, because that is what the temples that you see in Lalibela are all about. Now, here it is. The history of Mescal is a very interesting history. For the history of Mescal says this, that Queen Helena, seeking for the said cross of Christ, I think they had some portion of it and something of the sort, and they're trying to find the rest, however that story goes. But she lit a bonfire. 3 bonfires, pardon me. And the smoke from the fire carried her and her entourage to where the cross of Christ was. And this cross of Christ is said to be, at least some aspect of it, in Ethiopia. Now, Mescal, I believe, is unique like Timkat, meaning that although Ethiopia is a member of the Orthodox Church block of churches, there's certain celebrations that Ethiopia keep up Ethiopia alone. I think Timkat and Maskell are two of these celebrations. So in other words, you would not go somewhere else, no other church, and hear people talking about the keeping of Maskell. Not unless they would have introduced it now. And I don't think that it was a tradition amongst the Orthodox churches. Good. So that's the story there. Many ones would consider that pure legend. Many ones would just even go as far as to say it's fairy tale. Queen Helena, you know, is Constantine mother we talking about, you know. I wonder if you understand what that story there is really saying. And this is a tradition that is even the Ethiopian Orthodox Church would definitely embrace. All right, fair enough. So, but the concept now of this cross, I think, again, that many ones would understand the cross as a symbol of death, a symbol of salvation to some, depending on how you look at the story, and a symbol of life to some, again, depending on how you look at the story. But then now the cross itself is seen in several aspects of even nature. Now, as I highlighted before, when you look at the glyphs of the pyramid texts, one of the things that stands out in the pyramid text is what appears to be the cross. And again, this cross looks very similar, at least in its formation, to that of the cross church of Lalibela, the rock church of Kedos Girugis St. George in Lalibela. So this ancient pyramid text, now we're talking about the pyramid text. When I say the pyramid text, this is before Lalibela. The pyramid text, family, is considered to be the oldest. Let me repeat. The pyramid text is considered to be the oldest religious writing, to the point that everything else was taken from the pyramid text. So the oldest known language and writing system in general being the hieroglyphs, as it's called, the Medu Neter. And yet still, of the hieroglyphs writing, the oldest of them is the pyramid text, at least as a religious writing. And within the pyramid text, you see a beautiful symbol of what we, in our English vernacular, refer to as a cross. As I said, it could be referred to as Maskell. You could also refer to it as a tar. But again, we're speaking a specific language, and you have the cross. But when you look at the Medu Neter, you see other symbols similar to the cross, and even the cross perched on something that looks like a vase. So again, I just want you to get this in mind, family, that especially those of you who are seeking, higher knowledge, and we're not here to debate or play around. So if we're going to look at the archaeological records, we're talking about the oldest known writing. And here you have, again, the cross. But again, the cross, the tau, the maskell is not just a cross. It has always been considered as the solar cross. That is why not just in Kemet now, not just in Africa now, but in the Eastern world, in China, in India, even in Celtic Europe, you would find the symbol of the cross, which some referred to as a Celtic cross. That's not right. These are African symbols, Rasta. But you will see the cross inside of the circle, which is the sun. Now, this is not just an expression of art, but this is a scientific conclusion that has been expressed in art. Please follow me. Here again, the whole science of the sun, S-U-N, the whole science of the sun, S-O-N. Again, this is why the sun, S-O-N, will have the sun, S-U-N, behind his head. We call it a halo. Hello. Yeah. A halo, holy, holy Bible, sun book. Deep vibes. The sun, 12 disciples. The sun, 12 constellations, zodiac. The sun, set and rise again. The sun, dying, resurrected. The sun coming with the clouds of the heavens. All eyes shall see the sun. The crown upon the head of the sun. The sun, S-O-N, S-U-N, the sun. So you see here, the cross is in the sun. And that is seen all over the ancient world. Not just Kemet, not just Africa, China, India, what is called today Pakistan and Bangladesh, even in Russia and Europe in general. The sun, even in pagan Europe, the cross inside of the sun. Now again, that whole science, very deep, because as I just mentioned, this is more than just, decorative art then. This is a serious understanding of solar biology. So this is why, even when you look, for example, at the works of one Maurice Cottiel, give thanks there, and in the book, The Super Gods, and of course, the Tutankhamun prophecies, you see how he would have highlighted the sun, the cross section of the sun. And the cross section of the sun will show you the electromagnetic field of the sun and the 28-day spinning cycle of the sun. Yes, pardon me, dear. So I was showing you that the sun specifically, when you understand that science, when you comprehend how the sun is made up, the biology of the sun, the cross section basically of the sun, you can see for yourself when you observe, the different writings on the subject area, you would see for yourself that it is actually divided into 4. That's the sun. I mean, you can't go and cut the sun in half and see the 4. That's not the point I'm making. The sun, let me be clear here. The sun operates on electromagnetic energy. The sun is electricity. The sun is raw current. The sun is not just fire as we believe, raw current. So you have positive and negative pockets of current inside the sun. And it is well divided and well orchestrated so that you can clearly see, for those who would visualize it, that when you make a cross section of the sun, the energy that is pulsating from the sun is in the formation of what appears to be a cross. So the cross section of the sun brings to light the cross within the sun. Although many people say that, the sun and the cross is the sun between the 12 zodiac belt constellation. Yes, that is so when you put it on a paper with the zodiac around the sun. That's just your thought pattern. But the literal sun, when you look through it scientifically cross-section, you see the cross being expressed in the positive and the negative electromagnetic pockets that exist. So this is why in the ancient world, they did not have a problem of seeing the sun literally divided somewhat into four. Each of these triangle-like pizza slices looking stuff represents positive, negative, positive, negative electromagnetic energy. So this science that modern day scientists would have recently discovered, everything they know they just recently discover it, has been expressed thousands of years in anciency, the sun with its electromagnetic field, which appears as a cross. So again, just keep this in mind. This is not just the cross, you know. The cross is one thing, but this is the cross inside of the sun. And we're looking at something that 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, we would have been expressing this, the cross inside of the sun. And now in this modern day time, scientifically, we can prove with all sorts of high-tech inventions, high-tech machinery, when we can detect ultraviolet rays and infrared. That's how they see these things. X-rays, you can see within the sun, the cross pulsating, which represents the positive and negative electromagnetic energy. Very good. So this is why even in ancient Ethiopia, you would notice that there are different variations of this cross. You look at some of the beautiful crosses of Lalibela and how they express everything here is scientific, nothing by mistake. So now we bring into light the Ankh, ANKH, and I would have showed you the other evening that the ANKH is actually the first letter of the primordial couples, Amen and Amenet, and Noan, Naunet, and Ket and Kehet, and Hek and Heket, ANKH. These are the four original couples, and their names begin with A and N and K and H. And it's just interesting that ANKH is the symbol of life, the Ankh. So it is obvious that the Ankh is a symbol of the reproductive system of the woman. And yes, there is that reasoning that the Ankh is both male and female, and I am not going to fight the experts at all with that. But for sure, when I observe the Ankh, I must say, I see the female reproductive system. And of course, that the ball of the Ankh is actually the uterus, the literal womb itself. That part of the Ankh was replaced by a long staff. So this is why the metaphysicians will tell us, and the chematologists will tell us, that what Greek did is that the Ankh has a penis and the Ankh has a womb, and these fellas took off the womb and put another penis on it. So it's not funny. It's not funny at all. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. It's not funny. But anyway, when you look at the Ankh itself now, for sure, the uterus, which represents the womb of light, you understand. And then, of course, the stretched out arms are obviously, the fallopian tubes. And then at the same time, you have the portal of life, which is the vaginal canal. And all you have to do is observe again the whole makeup of the female reproductive system, and you can see it is the Ankh. Now, the Ankh within itself, in a sense, is to a degree is a cross, but it's not a cross. And you see, let me show you. This is how language is tricky. Now, the pyramid, listen to me, I want to show you something. The pyramid at Giza, do you know the real name for that structure or those type of structures are Teken. Tekenu is the plural. Man might say Tekens, but I think it's Tekenu. But it is a Teken. So the Great Pyramid is a Teken, and the other two pyramids, they are Tekenu. The second one is a Teken, the third one is a Teken. I want you to listen to me good. I want to show what English does to us. Now, you have the step pyramid of Dizoja. Now, do you know the step pyramid is not really a pyramid? If you are to really judge a pyramid for what a pyramid is in geometry, the step pyramid of Dizoja is not a pyramid. The pyramids in South America, those are not pyramids. Even the pyramids in Sudan, those are not pyramids. Geometrically speaking, you don't have to be offended, you know, I'm trying to show you a point. Geometrically speaking, what a pyramid is. In fact, a pyramid is supposed to, I think it has 4 sides, and it's supposed to meet at the apex. Now, the step pyramid, it's a mastaba on top of a mastaba on top of a mastaba on top of a mastaba. So the steppy looking stuff disqualifies it from being a pyramid. Now, Dizoja don't have to feel bad about what I'm saying. We don't care about no pyramid. We never told nobody we were building pyramids. It's the Greeks come and tell us or tell people we have pyramids. We were building Tekens or Tekenu. Not pyramids, Tekenu. So in other words, what you would consider the Tekenu of, what's his name there? The Tekenu of Khufu. That is a Tekenu. Dizoja, that is a Tekenu. The pyramids, as they call them in Sudan, or I should say, Dizoja, that's a Teken, pardon me. Khufu, that's a Teken. All that is in Sudan, those are Tekenus. But they're not pyramids. The pyramid of the sun and the moon in South America and Mexico and these places, those are not pyramids. Geometry, when we speak of geometry, they're not pyramids. Remember, in geometry, you have cones, you have cylinders, you know. We have some, I call them pyramids here in Antigua. They call them sugar mill, but they were built sturdy and strong like pyramids, but they're not pyramids neither. They're like some cones without the top, but they're Tekens. I want you to follow me good, but they're Tekens. That's why I like to tell people Haile Selassie is not no king of kings, you know. Haile Selassie is Negus and Nagas, because there's a time when you have to get serious with these words. Because when you just play with the words and use them any old how, you run into trouble. Well, you know, the pyramid of Dizoja was not really a pyramid, so who cares? You figure that out with yourself, but it's a Teken. Yes, and it's important, really, family, to have that mentality, you know, even as we go forward. So the Ankh now, that's why I'm saying the Ankh, in a sense, is like is a mascal. It may not be a cross, but it's a mascal, you know. That's why we have so many different mascals, specifically even in Ethiopia, as I would have showed you. Different formations, and all of these mascals are connected to the heavenly movements, just like the dances that have been done in ancient Africa. So you could see again, when you observe our African tradition, you see the different formation of the Ankh, and also within Africa itself, you have the symbol of what is known as the Aqaba. Now, the Aqaba, and that's interesting, you know, because it's obvious that the Aqaba from Southern Africa more so has a similar shape to the Ankh. Now, I want to show you something. Now, the Aqaba itself, I remember once in the Virgin Islands, I did a lecture, and I was given a blessings of a large Aqaba, heavy Aqaba. But yeah, man, I give thanks. Still have that up to now. And it represents, some people in the occult world say that the Aqaba represents extraterrestrial because how their head looks so large. But it's obvious that the Aqaba looks exactly like the Ankh. And the Aqaba appears to be a being with, yes, a large head and the sun shining out of its head and its arm wide open and inviting. Now, what's interesting, in the Ndenkra symbol, you have a symbol called the Aqaba. It's actually spelled the exact same way. But it doesn't necessarily look like the Aqaba in the personification. But in West Africa, when they speak of this Aqaba, it is described as an individual with its arms wide open and palms also open to welcome and embrace those who are coming in. That's interesting, because the Aqaba of Southern Africa has that appearance of an individual with its arms wide open, ready to welcome in, you know, weary wanderer and whoever else needs to be comforted. And again, that Aqaba is very similar to the Ankh in its dimensions, in its geometry. It is very similar to the Ankh. And again, the Ankh, for sure, as we would have just mentioned, is symbolic of life itself, the incubator of life. That is why the Ankh is called the key of life, and life comes through the literal womb, the fallopian tube, into the uterus and coming down the vaginal canal, literally again, the portal of life. And so that is why the Ankh, which to me is a maskel, it may not be a cross. As I said, the Zosiers pyramid may not be a pyramid, but it is a tekel. So the Ankh, like the rest of its brothers, the rest of its sisters, the rest of the quote-unquote crosses, the meskel, has its own scientific meaning. That's why all the Ethiopian crosses are symbolic of something else. They all connected to the heavenly movement. I want to show you something deep before we seal up tonight, so you clearly comprehend the importance and the science of the meskel, not necessarily the cross. So again, the Ethiopian meskel, you know, you have the version of it where you clearly see the sun and the cross, just like all the old glyphs that you see all around the world of the sun with the cross, again, which is directly connected to the science that the sun emits to us. When you observe it in a cross section, it is actually a cross. A cross, And again, the ancient cross, seen in the earliest writings, talking about the writings of the Medu Neter, the hieroglyphs. And that is why even in Lalibela, the ancient city in Roha, the marvelous temple Beteg Kedas Gerugis is carved into that ancient scientific symbol. The ancient scientific symbol, the exact same cross is within the center. The exact same cross or maskel that you see on the Meduneter is the exact same meskel or cross that you see on the top of Lalibella's Beta Keres Gerugis or Church of St. George. I hope you are following me. So we clearly understand, comprehend the scientific energy behind the cross, its connection to the sun, the solar being. All of this is science that has even morphed into religion, and the sun and the cross and crucify on the cross and the halo behind his head. All of this ancient science has morphed into religion, but you must understand that the science itself was crystallized as well into reality and history. Deep stuff. That's why you have the 16 crucified saviors. All right. Beautiful vibration, you know, family, when you comprehend this in its fullness. Now, I want to give a clarity here as it relates to the heavenly aspect of this. And this is very important. Now, we speak of the heavens declare, and you know, we speak of alignments all of the time. Now, when we observe Ethiopia and its time frame, when you observe the heavens during the time of the 27th of September, which is Maskel, 27-28. So on the 27th of September, now we know that the Ethiopians, you know, the Ethiopians carry a different reckoning of time. I think 6 in the morning is midday or something. They do it a different way. 7 o'clock is 1 o'clock, something of the sort. But anyway, let us just use the time that those of us who are not there are accustomed to. So when the sun coming up in the morning, it's 6 o'clock. We know that, right? Good. When the sun is in the middle of the sky, it's midday, noon. Good. When the sunset it's another 6 o'clock again. Some places it's gone to 1800 hours, not 18 hours now, 1800 hours. From 5 o'clock to 1800 hours. Oh no, from 12 midday to 1300 hours. 100, eh? From 12 to 1300. Not 1200 to 1300, you know. Hey, listen, sometimes I wonder if you're following me. In Greenwich Mean Time, I'm trying to show you how mean Greenwich time is. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 midday. 1300 hours, 1400 hours. I'm telling you, what a jump from 12 to 1300. All right, but anyway, that's another program for another time. Now, so let's just use the language we know or what we are accustomed to. So around 6 in the morning, on Mascal, that is when the Southern Cross is coming over the horizon. In fact, let me be clear here. I am using an astronomical outlook that has us in Ethiopia at Lalibela. I want you to comprehend this. So if you are in Ethiopia, Lalibela, this morning, we're talking about the coming up of the sun in the morning, the rising of the sun, which is right now in the head of the Virgin, and Mars is in the womb of the very same Virgin. But at the coming up of the sun in Ethiopia, 6 o'clock, you have the Southern Cross just coming over the southern horizon itself. Now remember, the Southern Cross is a southern circumpolar constellation. So it doesn't rise in the east, it doesn't rise in the west. You can only look at in the south and you see it coming over the horizon. The more south you are, is the more time you get to observe the Southern Cross. Now follow me. At 8:21, for those who will be observing this on the visual, you can see the Southern Cross is rising. 8:21, 8:26, you see? 8:27, 8:28, almost every minute. You can literally see the difference in movement of the stars. 8:54, 9:54, 10:54, 11:54. Now, again, going backwards, like if we're going towards 10 o'clock, you see how they're going anti-clockwise? Now, if we're going forward, 8 past 11, 9 past 11, 10, 12, 13, past 11, you can see the stars moving clockwise. The point I'm making, family, that you saw that at 6 o'clock, the Southern Cross was just coming over the horizon in that semicircular formation. 8:45, 8:45, 9:45, 10:45, 11. You see it rising higher and higher in the sky, 11:45. As it moves towards 12 midday, at 12 midday, the Southern Cross is situated perfectly above our heads. I'm talking about Ethiopian time. Now, this is the same all over the world, but I am purposely looking at this from the angle of us being in Ethiopia. So we are in Ethiopia and we are observing all of this. The sun is rising in the morning at about 6, 7 o'clock. The Southern Cross is coming over the southern horizon. And then at midday, the cross is above our heads. But what I'm trying to tell you, family, where are you now? If you are in California, at midday, the cross was over your head. If you are in Sierra Leone, at midday today, the cross was over your head. If you were in Australia, if you were in New Zealand, anywhere in Russia you were, once the Southern Cross can be seen, and even if you cannot see it, it's aligned with the celestial longitude that will identify with your zenith. I hope you get me, eh? The point is, that's not the case last week. That's not the case next week, because the heavens is alive. So the cross is not going to be above all our heads at midday every day. In fact, from tomorrow, the day after, in 5 days, that whole dynamic will already change. So the point is that the 27th day of September, which is Maskell, which is the commemoration of the finding of the true cross of Christ. And we would have already explained how scientific the cross plus the cross and the sun is. But to even add to the dynamics, that on the 27th day of September, at midday, the Southern Cross, one of my more favorite, I should say, and one of the more famous constellation, not most famous, one of the more famous, you understand? That's grammar for you, eh? One of the more famous constellation, that Southern Cross will be above our heads midday on the 27th of September. The cross, midday, above your head, on the day of the finding of the true cross of Christ. Now, the story say that Helena, the queen, the mother of Constantine, lit some bonfires, and the smoke led her to the old rugged cross. That's what the story said, the cross that Christ was literally crucified on Golgotha 2,000 years ago. What do you think about that one? That's what that story says. But astronomically, we have found out that the heavens declare the glory of the cross on the 27th day of September. So even without the Helena story, to me, some of them things just make up to add to the glory of nature. The ancients understood that today was the day, more than any other day, that the Southern Cross at midday would align with the sun, because the cross has to align with the midday sun to create such an effect as we would get on the 27th day of September. So this is a scientific expression. And that is why I began the program by speaking not just of cross, but the cross in its agency and its connection to the sun. And the Southern Cross, oh, what a beautiful constellation, is connected to the sun and the midday sun on the 27th day of September, more so than any other day of the 365-day year. So, is it by mistake that the Ethiopians celebrate this day as the finding of the true cross of Christ? Not the Orthodox world, you know. The Ethiopians celebrate this day. This is an ancient African science that the Orthodox Church would have adopted. This ain't got nothing to do with Jesus Christ and his old rugged cross. This ain't got nothing to do with no Helena and no fire that she lit. That is legend added to this. I am telling you, this is an ancient science and literal common sense. Because you see, what I've just explained to you, we would have learned this in kindergarten in the ancient world. This ain't nothing hard. This is just looking up at the sky at midday, see the sun and draw a line to the south, and it runs into the Southern Cross. That's all. That's all. And when you come back tomorrow and the day after and try to do it at midday, it doesn't work. And when you did it the day before, it didn't work. So that means this day, 27th day of September, got to be a power day, because that's the day when the midday sun aligned with the midday Southern Cross, and they're perfectly above our heads. The sun and the cross, 27th day of September. Yeah, give thanks for Maskel. Holy Manuel, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari.
Prosperity is a herbal remedy that has been naturally designed to nourish the prostate gland. Prosperity uses a combination of leaves, roots, and barks to create a tincture designed to nourish your prostate gland. It also will assist in prostate-related issues such as erectile dysfunction, swollen prostates, and problems related to the passage of urine. Call or WhatsApp 728-8289, 728-8289 and get your bottle today. Prosperity.